If you could grow a cool season cover crop that does not winter kill easily, that provides abundant protein and energy for livestock, from cows to pigs to sheep, and if it overwinters well in your area, would you give it a try? I'm Rod from Dattle Family Farms, and in this video we're going to talk about the mighty purple top turnip, how I think it's overlooked and how you might want to consider growing it as well, especially because it has a lot more benefits than most people give it credit for. Charlotte's going to help me dig some up, and we're going to go take a look at what they look like in the field. So this field here is one that we've been rejuvenating with cover crops and livestock. It's about 4/10 of an acre, and about 50 days ago I planted some purple top turnips, daikon radishes, Austrian winter peas, and some other stuff in this field with no-till cover crops. You can see a little bit of soil there that I'm breaking apart, and this field has just dramatically improved with the growth of our warm season cover crops. Then in the fall I plant some radishes and turnips like this, and then we'll go on and seed some ryegrass or cereal rice, something like that, over winter. And then in the summer I plant my warm season cover crops. What I really like about these are you can see that these roots are a little spread out. There's a good bit of forage, and they're growing pretty well. It's really hard for me to describe how much I like these purple top turnips. Purple top turnips are not the most popular cover crop. If we start talking about cool season cover crops, we do get brassicas that get some good attention. Mustards and a lot of row crop farms and small scale gardens will actually be grown for biofumigation to help deal with some soil borne pests. Daikon radishes are probably the most popular. They're also called tillage radish or biotillage radish, sidebuster radish, and they're known for breaking up real hard pan clay soil. They have deep tap roots that go beyond the actual root itself. And I've got another video on that I published last week. Dwarf Essex rape is probably the most well-known for forage, especially when you start talking about wildlife. But the benefits of purple top turnips are numerous. They're not quite as strong in some areas as other cover crops, but they are pretty good at scavenging excessive soil nutrients. They have some smaller roots that do a really good job of that. They have a taproot that, when I've always dug it up, it always seems to be pointing down, though the taproot is a little bit thinner. It's relatively cheap to plant at about 5 pounds per acre. So that means a 50-pound bag can plant about 10 acres at a cost of $8 to $10 per acre. And I also like that it grows rapidly as long as it's in pretty decent soil and it has the broader nutrients and water. To me, the greatest benefit is in its value as a forage. The leaves themselves are pretty high in crude protein. They range from 15 to 25%, but they're depending on their stage of growth, but it's usually in the 20% range. The bulbs themselves can have up to 10 to 15% crude protein, which is quite high for any kind of root crop, surprisingly enough. It has a lot of highly digestible nutrients, and it's kind of lower in fiber and lignin, so it's a really good high energy plant, and the turnips themselves have more sugars. It can accumulate some sulfur, which is really good for a lot of livestock, and it also, of course, has a lot of calcium and potassium. Typically, if purple top turnips are grown for forage, cows are what they tend to be grown for the most. With ruminants like cows, be careful because you can deal with a bloat. So it's recommended that about a 50% stand of purple top turnips, or mixing some purple top turnips with other forages, is really good. With cows, I've stripped grazed individual plots of purple top turnips, and I've had a bale of hay or two, depending on how many cows I had grazing, and it worked relatively well. I did not have any issues with bloat, but that is one option. Now, small ruminants, sheep and goats, I don't have a whole lot of experience with, nor do I have a whole lot of experience with deer in purple top turnips, other than I've seen deer come out of the woods and graze all of our brassicas, including the purple top turnips. I really grow purple top turnips primarily for pigs. Now, with pigs and nutrition, it's not going to be particularly high in lysine, so if you see that 20% crude protein number in the forage, just know that it's not real high in lysine, so you need to feed another high lysine food. So don't be fooled by that 20% crude protein. They're going to need more protein if it's a lower amount of lysine in the feed. The bulbs themselves offer a lot of filler. That's one of the things that I like about purple top turnips. With our breeding pigs, especially the sows, they have large stomachs and large appetites, but while they're actually gestating, they need limited nutrition during much of their pregnancy, because if they're overfed, they'll have breeding problems or they'll have birthing problems. And so limiting their nutrition often leaves them a little hungry. So it helps fight hunger pains if you feed bulkier foods like pumpkins and turnips and many other things. Purple top turnips, in my experience, aren't going to be a game-changing cover crop for you to grow. It's not going to be like our sorghum sudan grass or cereal rye or ryegrass. It's not going to rapidly transform your clay soils. It's not going to produce lots and lots of dry matter per acre. In good growing conditions, you can count on about 2 to 3 tons of dry matter per acre. In excellent conditions, you can have up to 4 to 6 tons per acre. Even if we only have 2 tons of dry matter produced per acre with our turnips, the thing that it's so easy to forget is 2 tons of feed is roughly $800, $900, some years $1,000 for those 2 tons of feed. Because of that, if we can offset some of our feed costs for each acre that we plant and graze successfully with our pigs, we can save $500 to $600 per acre by the time we take out our time, fuel, and seed costs. So $500 an acre in grain cost is really, really good savings for our pigs. Further, the additional forages, rather than just grain, help the meat quality of the pigs. It gives them something to do, it makes them happier, and it produces a much higher quality pork. One final point that I forgot to say is that if you plant the turnips as the day lengths are getting shorter, that's when they produce the bulbs. They don't produce a whole lot of bulbs if you plant them in the spring, in my experience, but that may just be my climate here in Mississippi. Now, the most important thing for me about the purple top turnips, it's also true with daikon radish and to a lesser extent the dwarf Essex rape. I can plant a crop of these in August or September. I can irrigate them, I can grow them, and produce a good high quality feed for the pigs in November, December, and January when our pigs don't have a whole lot of other forages to graze. So in addition to the savings, I'm creating more forage for the pigs at a time of the year when there's not much else to grow. Most of the cool season cover crops that we grow, you plant them in the fall, but they don't put on a whole lot of biomass until you get into March, April, and May. Because of this, there's such a quick growth cycle for the purple top turnips, daikon radishes especially. Then we can produce a lot of good feed, a lot of diverse feed. It's just a win-win all around for us. I hope you'll give some purple top turnips a try. It's a great cover crop. It fits really, really well along with daikon radishes in this kind of narrow window of time in the fall that produces a good forage November through January grazing. Take care, have a great day, and thanks for your time.